Let's talk about Mahomes completing a behind-the-back pass today at practice and everybody losing their minds, note some other standouts, and then look at a report from Pro Football Talk that said if the Raiders rescind the franchise tag on Josh Jacobs, he might go straight to the Kansas City Chiefs. But first, how about those? All right, today was a shorter, lighter practice with no pads, a 10-10-10 day just before their day off on Sunday, which again is a light workout as the team cycles through 10 offensive plays, 10 defensive plays, and 10 minutes of special teams. The first team offense is served by the second team defense and vice versa. As far as injuries are concerned, the players who didn't practice today, no real surprises. Kadarius Toney had knee surgery. L'Jarius Sneed is still dealing with some inflammation of his knee. Charles Omenihu, who got suspended for the first 6 games of the season yesterday, but can still participate at camp and preseason, strained his calf, and while he was seen out there, didn't practice today, I believe. And if you want to know more about his situation, I spoke about it for roughly 5 minutes in yesterday's video. Next up, Jody Fortson didn't practice. He dislocated his shoulder last week and is still resting it. And then Mike Dana is still resting his calf and didn't practice today either. Meanwhile, Jaylen Watson, who missed yesterday's practice for personal reasons, was seen back out there. Drew Tranquil has been back for a couple days as well. Turk Wharton was also out there working as he continues rehabbing that knee, recently coming off the PUP list. And Pacheco is getting ever so close to being able to remove that yellow "Do Not Touch Me" jersey, but he's still out there getting work in, catching passes and running routes. He just can't be hit. And while there wasn't a lot of video highlights from today's practice, Mahomes could be seen messing around with a between-the-leg pass yesterday, then was seen warming up left-handed this morning, and even completed a behind-the-back pass to Sky Moore, which caused everybody to lose their minds. And basically, it was a Sky Moore bubble screen or quick pass to the left side, and Mahomes spots him and just whoop! Flipped the ball behind his back and sent it spiraling into the awaiting hands of Sky as he then proceeds to take the ball up the field on the left side. And honestly, I could see this kind of a play actually happening in a game, though I would think the Chiefs would need to be up at least 2 to 3 scores in the fourth quarter for Andy Reid to greenlight this. I could also see Mahomes being able to hit a running back like Pacheco or whoever is out there, McKinnon, catching a pass out of the backfield as they flip out and take the pass up the sideline. I also wouldn't be surprised if we possibly see this kind of a pass during a preseason game, which is a great place to try something like this, but that's where I wanted to get your thoughts. What are the odds, in your opinion, that we see a behind-the-back pass like this in a game this season, and how much money would you actually put down on it happening? Let me know in the comments down below. Aside from the actual behind-the-back pass, though, there were some actual takeaways from today's practice. Offensive tackle Wanya Morris was working in with the 1s today as left and right tackle, and I believe he's worked in with the 2s as tackle and even the 3s today, and I do think he could be a solution here depth-wise for the Chiefs as far as swing tackles are concerned. Wanya said he's really enjoying working in there with the 1s as he feels that's the closest you can get to real game speed, and Pat and Trav push everybody to be great out there. He's used to playing both sides of the line, saying it's second nature, and he's just here to do what is asked of him no matter what side of the line he ends up playing on. Aside from working both sides, though, Wanya could also be seen taking some nice team photos. A true jack of all trades. It was also reported that the first play of the starting defense's session, Justin Reid made a, quote, really sneaky play. He read the sit route from the slot and just jumped it. Defensive back Joshua Williams picked off Blaine Gabbert. Ekow worked in as an outside corner today with the 1s, and Jaylen Watson was seen on the other side of the field. And with all the injuries at corner, it's interesting to see Ekow getting worked in so much. I did not have him making the 53-man roster, but it's at least worth keeping eyes on. Justin Reid spoke to the media today saying the defense is a lot more comfortable out there this year, a true night and day difference from the last, and the first team defense and offense are always going to battle against each other, trying to make each other better, which is the point of camp. Training camp has also been a great time of team building because they are all there at St. Joe away from the fam and just spending a lot of time together off the field as well. He also complimented linebacker Leo Chenal, saying he's the most swole linebacker he's ever seen, and the guy can play all 3 linebacker positions. Leo himself said he feels improved in seeing routes of opposing receivers and believes his vision has opened up, and also believes the whole defense will play faster in 2023. Special teams coordinator Dave Tobe said the Chiefs' top gunners as of right now are wide receiver Justin Watson and cornerback Joshua Williams. Chiefs have to figure that out after losing cornerback Nazeeh Johnson due to the ACL injury he sustained at camp last week. It's interesting to note, though, that Justin Watson's role on teams last season wasn't that significant. He only played 67 total snaps, and for context, Teron Christian played 55, Derek Nottie played 1 more than him, 68, while the heavy hitters on teams like Leo Chenal, Noah Gray, Deion Bush, and Chris Lammons all played 300 snaps or more, somewhere around the 300 mark. However, I like the idea of Tobe using Watson as a gunner because of his speed. If he can fit in that role, I would not mind him having a bigger role on special teams this year anyway. And it's worth noting that Pete Sweeney may have actually been wrong here, misunderstanding what Dave Tobe said, and Tobe may have actually been talking about Jaylen Watson, not Justin Watson, which I like the idea of that way less, especially considering Watson may be a starting corner this upcoming season. So keep that man healthy and away from special teams if possible. Please and thank you. And use Justin Watson. He's fast, and that sounds much better. Tobe also noted that running back Deneric Prince is going to be the first kick returner in the preseason game. He said, quote, "We're not going to fair catch," at least not for the preseason, because he needs to see what his guys can do, who can block, who can return, etc., which I think is going to be the mindset of probably most teams, at least for preseason and possibly into the season as well. They're going to just return the freaking kicks. And as far as offensive standouts for today go, offensive lineman Nick Allegretti continued to rotate in with the ones, taking some snaps at center as well as left guard in place of Joe Thuney. Wide receiver Richie James took at least one snap as the Wildcat QB. He played quarterback in high school, in an emergency situation in college, and is left-handed. So shout outs to Richie, because I'm left-handed too. Shane Buechele and Nico Remigio reportedly had a nice connect, which means Nico is still working with the threes. I want to see this man at least with the twos if possible. Please, more often. Thank you. And then Patrick Mahomes, aside from the behind the back pass to Sky Moore, connected on a deep ball to MVS. He also hit Richie James on a deep vertical. Tight end Matt Bushman reportedly snagged a great pass from Mahomes as well on a crossing route. The pass was a bit in front of him, but he was able to make the grab. And then Deneric Prince and CEH both got some work in with the ones as well. And while this is just a lighter practice of the first team O against the second team D and vice versa, it was nice to see some of these guys moving around and getting used to situations they could be placed in if injuries were to pile up or happen during a game, like Allegretti working in at center and left guard, Wanya working in as a swing tackle, Ekow working in with the ones if he makes the roster, and so on and so forth. And while that's pretty much it as far as practice is concerned, I do need to talk about this article from Mike Florio today that said if the Raiders ended up rescinding their franchise tag on Raiders running back Josh Jacobs, he could go straight to the Kansas City Chiefs. And basically what's going on with Jacobs and the Raiders is not good. The Raiders franchise tagged Josh Jacobs, and he's still yet to sign his tag and plans to hold out at least through the preseason, maybe longer. He hasn't been around the building in months, and part of the issue here is the Raiders declined his fifth-year option, which he was not happy about, especially considering he's one of the best running backs in the entire NFL. I mean, last season he had 1,653 rushing yards and 12 touchdowns, as well as 400 receiving yards, and this man is only 25 years old. He's awesome, all things considered, since he's a Raider, but anyway, Mike Florio goes on to say this about Jacobs and how he eventually could end up with the Chiefs in this article. He said Jacobs could either accept his $10.1 million tag, work out an enhanced deal with the Raiders like Saquon did with the Giants, or he could skip part of or all the season and lose a bunch of money. The Raiders could also trade Jacobs or rescind the franchise tender, and Jacobs would then become a free agent. And while the fifth option won't be the first choice or the first ideal choice for the Raiders, if they think he's serious enough, they could just say, screw it, save the $10 million and move on from Jacobs, going a different route, considering there are a lot of veteran running backs still available in free agency. Florio said Jacobs isn't concerned if that happens, and if he's a free agent, he could be inclined to take the best deal he could get from a contending team, starting with the Chiefs. Quote, per a source with knowledge of the situation, the Chiefs and Broncos are among the teams interested in Jacobs, and while the Broncos could be a considerable way from contender status, they'd be an option at the right price. The Chiefs make the most sense and create the most intrigue. Jacobs would become a new age Marcus Allen, securing freedom from the Raiders and heading straight for their traditional arch rivals. Regardless, Jacobs' strategy is driven not by maximizing his pay in 2023, but by standing on principle. He continues to be upset that the Raiders failed to pick up his fifth-year option and then failed to make him a meaningful offer on a long-term deal after applying the franchise tag. Well, first off, why is every single player linked to the Chiefs when the Chiefs have no money? Sure, a Chris Jones extension will free up money if they get the extension done at all. And even then, why would the Chiefs invest that kind of money into a running back who wants to get paid? It makes no sense, especially with the current running back room the Chiefs have. I mean, yeah, McKinnon is not getting any younger. CEH is on the last year of his deal. Pacheco runs so violent that you gotta have depth for him in case of injury. And Prince is still currently unproven, quote unquote, since he's yet to play a single snap in the NFL. But do you guys think the Chiefs would actually spend that much money on a running back at this point in time? I mean, I could see the benefits of the offense having a running back as dangerous as somebody like Josh Jacobs or even Jonathan Taylor, Dalvin Cook. All these guys have been tied to the Chiefs. I'm just not so sure the Chiefs will invest that much money into a running back when they just won a Super Bowl with a 7th round draft pick in Isaiah Pacheco as their starter. And the last thing I'll say here, you already know if the Chiefs somehow got Jacobs, that Florio would then turn around and cry, whine, piss, and moan that the Chiefs didn't give that money to Mahomes, those little thieves. So I guess the fact that he links the Chiefs here is somewhat comical, but dude, if Jacobs wants to stick it to the Raiders and go to KC to chase a ring this season, taking some huge form of a discount, I would not complain, but that's where I want to pass the question off to you guys. What do you think about Josh Jacobs to Kansas City? Is it as crazy as I personally think it is, or is there more to it? Could you see it actually happening? Let me know in the comments down below, and until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?